Good morning, everyone. This is Gail Dudley, and it is time for News in Motion. I have been waiting for this moment, waiting for this day, because class will be in session today. I see you, Camille Hopkins. What's up, sister? I see you in the room. Y'all, come on in the room. We're going to have our sports game over with Kenny on the top of the segment, and then we're going to get into class time. I know these high schools are rolling up in here, so welcome high schools as you're coming in as well. I understand y'all's chat feature is turned off, but you can always contact me if you have any questions once I break down this information in the classrooms. By now, all of the high school instructors who requested the information, you should have received an email from me. That information that you can then hand out to your students. You should have received two emails from me. Well, one email with two attachments, high school teachers. The first attachment should have been the summary of HB 7, that's House Bill 7. The second attachment, teachers, should have been the actual bill. So you should have received both of those. Other teachers who may have heard about this later and you're joining in, what I'll do is let me know you joined the segment and I will send you those handouts later. I want to make sure I get that out the way. But let me see who's rolling up in the room today. I see you, Jeffrey Allen James. I see you, Deborah Johnson, Regina Shorts. What's up, Jeffrey Payne, coming in from YouTube? I've been missing you, brother. Sardinia is here. Rosanna Bivens, Marion, Lori Wallace, Adrian Gaddish, Anita Overflow Dawson. Yes, girls, hump day. Deborah Sneed and Hazel Johnson. Good morning to all of you. Listen, if you're tuning in by audio, good morning to you as well. We're going to cover a lot of information today. A lot of information. What's up, John Gore? What's up, Tracy Newman? What's up? What's up? What's up? All right, y'all, we got a lot to cover. So again, to my high school teachers, you should have received an email from me with two attachments if you responded. I know the students, your chat is turned off. Some of the students are saying, we can't chat. Well, you can't chat because your teachers turned it off. But anyway, you should have received two emails from me when we get into class and session. The first one was the summary of House Bill 7 out of Florida. The second one was the actual bill. And I know that PDF was pretty large. Hopefully it came through for you. I sent it through Google Docs, so you should have no problem opening that. What's up, Latrice Jones? What's up to my brother, Louis Pryor III? What's up, Pastor Alex? What's up? Good morning. All right, y'all. So the students are probably getting settled. We are getting ready to start this news. Good morning, Dr. Antoinette. And then we're going to come back with Game Over with Kenny. And then after that, y'all, guess what? Class is going to be in session. Let's go. I think Kenny should be right here. He's going to have a quick game over piece. We're not going to do the intro for him. I see you, JK, and I thank you for your comments you posted yesterday. I see you, Cherie Brooks, and I see you, Diane Ladybug. And happy birthday to my sister who just rode in here, my biological sister, Patricia Laus. It is her birthday today. I won't give you her number. I'll let her give that yourself. So go ahead and bring in Kenny. Let's get the update on Game Over Sports.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing, News in Motion family?
Good morning.
Welcome to Game Over with me, Kenny Stanley. Hey, I said it Monday. I'm going to say it again today. The NBA is fantastic. The Miami Heat wrapped up their 7-game series against the Atlanta Hawks last night as they advanced to the second round by beating the Atlanta Hawks 97-94. It was a good game. The Memphis Grizzlies, they led by Ja Morant, they took a 3-2 lead in their series. They're going to try to wrap it up on Friday, but they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 111-109. Ja Morant had 30 points in that game. And, oh, my gosh, if y'all can look it up, look at the dunk that he had last night. Oh, my gosh, somebody got posterized real bad. The Phoenix Suns also took a 3-2 lead over the New Orleans Pelicans. They're going to try to wrap theirs up on Saturday. We're going to see what happens, but they beat the Pelicans 112 to 197, and they was led in scoring by Michael Bridges, who had 31 points. Tonight, Milwaukee will try to wrap up their series against Chicago, and Golden State will try to do the same. Will try to do the same as they play against Denver. The NFL draft starts this weekend. Starts tomorrow. Matter of fact, it starts Thursday. We wrap up Saturday. 6 rounds of drafts. Who's going to improve in the draft? We just have to wait and see. In Major League Baseball, Anthony Rizzo for the New York Yankees hit 3 home runs yesterday in the victory over Baltimore, 12-8. That's a lot of runs for both teams. It looked like the pitching was horrible. They had batting practice, but it was a good game. My Cincinnati Reds, well, they continue to look bad. They took another loss last night, getting beat by San Diego 9-6. Real quick, Gail broke the story Monday. She talked about it again yesterday. Joseph Kennedy, a high school assistant football coach, lost his job because he started out kneeling at the end of the game. He started out kneeling at the 50-yard line praying. Well, some time later, some players started joining with him. And then players from another team started joining at the end of the game, praying at the end of the games. He did this for 7 years. 7. Then all of a sudden, a coach from another team started hating and complained, and he lost his job. Well, his case was heard yesterday by the Supreme Court. That's how far this has went. This is going to be a big decision by the Supreme Court. I think it's crazy because they tried to say he was since he's employed by the school district, he's part of the state, and he was forcing players to do this. He was forcing players to pray in order to play. Well, how can you force a player from another team to pray to play? Don't make no sense to me. It's amazing to me. I will tell anybody, I'm backing him up. I'm a Christian. I'm 100% Christian. I will shout it out for the world to hear it. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I will shout that out all day long. It amazes me how for 7 years this man was doing something and nobody said nothing. When you're doing what you're supposed to be doing for God, somewhere down the line you can expect it to happen. The devil is going to rear his head. And that's what happened in this case. The devil reared his head. This man lost his job, but he's going to get the victory in the end. Reason I know he's going to get the victory because God is not going to let him down. That's all I got to say today. Game over. Back to you, Gail, for more news.
Your delivery today was phenomenal. You came out of them notes. I've been telling you, Kenny, and everyone tuning in. I said, leave the notes alone. You know this, and you showed that today. So get ready to go to your next level, Kenny. That was fantastic. Thank you
so much.
And yes, I agree with you. He's going to get the victory.
He's going to get the victory.
Everything in me. He's going to get the victory.
God is going to get all the glory out of this one. You watch and see.
Watch
and see. I'm going to say that right now. God getting all the glory out of this one.
All right. And Adrian said praying at the 50 is a common practice for decades, sometimes both teams together. It is a choice to participate and pray. All right, y'all. Let's do what we do. Have a great day, Kenny.
You do the same thing. I see y'all.
All right. So, yes, y'all, that's game over. We're going to have class in session. As we're going into class in session, I see y'all rolling up in here today. I'm loving it. Y'all, first off, I never knew this was true. I never knew that when you would board an airline, and y'all would hear the airline flight attendants say these things. As soon as everybody takes your seat, we can close the boarding door and we can take off. Well, I thought they were doing it just to get us out on time. No, they were doing it so they can get paid. I did not know that flight attendants did not get paid until the doors are closed. What? They're working the entire time. What do you mean they're not getting paid until the doors are closed? Well, in come Delta. That's why I fly with Delta. Delta said we can shut all this down. We said Delta is the first major airline that's saying we're going to pay y'all during the boarding process. He said, but we just trying to do it to also make sure this plane leaves. It's like, because you want to make sure those times stay and their salary stays within a certain rate. But they're saying that they may end up getting double the amount of money because of the boarding process and how long it takes. Now, y'all ain't playing. I said to myself, this ain't right, y'all. So I'm just in my feelings right now. I'm in my flesh. I'm not in the spirit right now. I said, next time I board, I'm going to take my time to make sure that their salary goes up. Did y'all know that? I'm just shocked. So kudos to Delta, who said, we're about to do this thing. Yes. All right, y'all, classes in session. Y'all, we have several high schools that are joining us. Good morning to you. And again, you should have received two attachments to an email, one SB7, the summary, and then the actual bill. As you're pulling that out, passing it out to your students or whatever it is that you're doing, I first want to talk about Howard University. Harvard University. Harvard University released a report yesterday tying slavery to several university presidents, faculty, and staff between the university founding in 1636 and when slavery was outlawed in Massachusetts in 1783. Harvard leaders enslaved more than 70 Black and Indigenous people during that time frame. The Ivy League school also benefited through its financial ties to donors who profited from slave trading. Y'all, there's a 134-page document. We will get this link to you. I meant to give it to Isaiah before. My apologies, Isaiah, for not getting it to you. But it is Legacy of Slavery. If you want to write this down, legacyofslavery.harvard.edu/report. I'll read that again. legacyofslavery.harvard.edu/report. The university also announced it would set aside $100 million for further research and to provide educational opportunities for those descended from enslaved people. However, the report stopped short of recommending direct financial reparations. So there's that. All right, what's happening at the White House? Well, today, the White House, I get all this stuff. Now I know where he's going, what time the wheels go up, everything. I don't want to know all this. But anyway, President Obama, I'm going back. President Biden, excuse me. What a day it would be if he could come back. Anyway, he will receive his daily briefing today at 9:30 a.m. There will be an in-town pool call time, which means all the press people will get onto the buses and follow him where he goes. He's going to be attending the funeral of Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, and the president will deliver remarks. Y'all, remind me, she been out a long time, because didn't she pass like 3 or 4 weeks ago? I'm trying to figure out, why is it taking so long to bury this woman? Also, the president and first lady will host a council of chief of state school officers, the 2022 National and State Teachers of the Year. I am excited to say that Kirk Russell from Oberlin High School, who was a teacher to my son, as my husband was the senior pastor of Mount Zion Baptist Church in Oberlin, Ohio. Kurt Russell, who was a member of Mount Zion, I believe he still is a member, he and his family, is the Teacher of the Year. So we're really excited about that. So congratulations to you, Teacher Kurt Russell. He was great, Black, African-American teacher, coach, mentor. He advocated for the students. He encouraged them. He engaged with them in the classroom. I'm not for sure if you saw him on Good Morning America, as well as the CBS News last week. We have that video. We'll get that to you. But again, congratulations to you, Kurt Russell. All right, y'all, the other thing, some people are saying, what is that White House really doing? Well, another immediate press release. This is a fact sheet that the Biden-Harris administration expands second chance opportunities to formerly incarcerated persons. They're talking about investing in job training, launching historic DOJ and DOL partnerships. They're doing expanding federal job opportunities and loan programs, growth opportunities, pathway homes, expanding access to business capital. Y'all, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. They are doing a thing. We're just not hearing about it. So I've decided that I'm going to start sharing it myself. Let me see what some of you are saying. Wow, Joy K said Madeleine Albright passed away on March the 23rd. It has to be a memorial service. I mean, it has to. So yeah, congratulations to Teacher of the Year. Yes, Camille. Yes, Camille. Her grandmother no longer lives in Oberlin, but did. Listen, there's so much. All right, y'all. The next thing, the Obama Foundation. Yeah, that's why I got him on my mind. He has this quote: "Do we allow our democracy to wither, or do we make it better? That's the choice we face. And it is a choice worth embracing." Those are his words. He is fighting disinformation. Y'all, I started thinking the other day, right? I was like, this was yesterday. I was driving. I was like, something's not right. Y'all, President Obama has been embarking on a campaign to warn people of online falsehoods, which has eroded the foundations of democracy. January 6th, 2020, y'all know, we don't have to go back to 2021. But anyway, he's been out here for a year talking about online disinformation and misinformation. And I thought, now we want to hear about free speech on Twitter. I wonder if these dots are connected. Something to think about. And then I had another question for y'all. After I got off the air yesterday, I said, man, I should have asked this question. And the question is this: if any of us had 45 billion with a B dollars, if that would sure be good. But if we had that money, would you go into debt at $25.5 billion for a social media network? Would you do that? There's something that just doesn't make sense to me on any of this, on any level. And again, we got to connect these dots. We got to ask the right questions, people. And the questions are, why? Number one, I can download the app for free. So why am I paying any amount of money to participate, let alone 45 billion with a B dollars? I already told you yesterday that it's the political platform. It's the platform where journalists and reporters and politicians raise their voices. This is how they looked at the election. Twitter has 217 million people compared to billions on Facebook and Instagram. Something's not adding up, people. So is this a direct response to former President Obama going around? He did a speech, and y'all can check this speech out on the obama.org website. He did a speech at Stanford last Thursday. Powerful speech. So what's really happening? And what is it that we're trying to do? Is it more divide and conquer? Y'all, these are the kind of questions we need to ask. These are the kind of questions we need to ask. And I can't stop asking the questions. So let's go to Florida. Florida House Bill 7. All right. And yesterday I said Stay Woke Act. Wrong. It's Stop Woke Act. All right, that's the other name for it, but it's House Bill 7, Senate Bill 148. Those two bills merged. It passed in both the Senate and the House in Florida. Ron says it's free for now. Everything does. Yeah, I believe he's going to charge a membership. I believe that's the only way he's going to get his money back, because people aren't going to pay ads for that. So yeah, so we're on the same page here. Okay, so Florida. Now, you can see the entire bill by going to floridasenate.gov /session/bill 2022-7. We'll put all these in there later. Again, it's my fault. I was so into doing the research, I forgot to send Isaiah the link. So blame me. But I'm going to break this down. All right, y'all. The first thing you do is you look at the bill. We were trying to figure out how I can show you the instructions as I was going through this bill, but we couldn't figure it out. I'm sure there's a way, and we'll learn it and we'll get it up because y'all class is in session. So you have here, this is, if you go to their website, this is what you'll see. Y'all, this is important. This is an important piece of paper, and it's 6 pages front and back. Okay, it's 6 pages. So this right here, Latrice says we need a book club study group to read this bill. We do. Joy says, is this Musk Twitter takeover a way to reintroduce the former guy? Listen, Joy, you just said something right there. So here's what this looks like. So in here, this bill started, it filed on January the 11th, 2022. I'm taking my time through this, people, and hear me. You want to hear everything I'm about to say. You want to hear this. Now, what you do with it, you do with it on your own, but I also encourage all of you to read it, Read bills. When you see that there's a bill that's been introduced and passed, or introduced even at the filing stage in your community, you might want to go check it out. It's very important to read this. All right, so there was a first reading. Then January the 12th, it went to the Judiciary Committee, the State Affairs Committee, the Education and Employment Committee. And then on January the 21st, it went back to the Judiciary Committee. And when you go in there and look at the bill, you can see some of the comments. And the reason it kept going back to that committee, because they wanted to make sure they had the language correct. Hold on. Then you get to January 26th, the 28th, February the 1st, February the 4th, the 9th, the 11th, the 14th. These are all the times this bill is going back and forth. Then you get to February the 22nd. Very important date, because it failed 13 times, y'all. 13 times. Why did this fail? Why didn't it move forward? Well, when you go back and look at the notes, they wanted to rephrase certain words. They wanted to tame and tone down certain words. I read it for myself. That's why I can say what I'm saying. So it went all the way to April the 22nd, where it was signed. But even when it's signed, there's still all this other stuff, y'all, that's going on with this bill. Y'all got to pay attention to this. So, teachers, let's get there. We get to the summary. This is the summary, and this right here, y'all, is the bill. It's a lot of pages. And I print this out. My husband's going to start charging me for printing for the house. But y'all, there's a lot of pages to this bill. All right. So let's look at this bill. Now, as I'm telling you about this bill, I decided to read it. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And the reason I read it 8 times, and I'm encouraging you to do the same, I read it through the lens of what a civil libertarian would read it. So I read it through that lens, at least as best I can, because I'm made up to be who I am. Then I went through, talked to some of my Jewish friends, and then I read it through the Jewish community lens. Then I read it, I failed. I tried to read it from the lens of white supremacy. Then I read it from the lens of a Black and brown person. Then I read it from the lens, from a white privilege perspective. Then I read it through the lens of Black Lives Matter. I read it through the lens of being a woman, and I read it through the lens of trying to be a man. So I read this right here 8 times. Because I was trying to connect the dots and understand the perspectives of different people, because we all have a perspective. Can we be in agreement with that? We all have a perspective. All right, y'all. So this bill, according to the summary, this bill revises requirements for required instruction on the history of African Americans in public schools. Why'd y'all single us out? That was question number one for me. Why is this? And so the way they massaged this bill was to appear to be like, we really want to hear from you and we don't want to discriminate from you. Okay, but you got to read the bill to really break down and understand what's in the bill. So they wanted to do a history of African Americans in public schools and requires the State Department of Education to prepare and offer certain standards and curriculum according to the bill's summary. That's what I got out of it. It includes a range of guidelines for instructional materials and requires the department to review school district professional development systems for compliance in certain provisions of the law. All right. So now it also states, and this is in many, many reports, it also states that subjecting individuals to specified concepts under certain circumstances constitute discrimination based on race, color, sex, or national origin. So the thing that popped out to me that it said not K through 12, but K through 20. And I kept digging. I said, oh, they're going all the way to higher learning. So K through 20. So you know how you hear that the critical race theory, CRT, is for graduate school or for higher learning. Well, this bill goes through K through 20, which includes higher learning. That was a pause for me. So I went and I looked up. I said, okay, there's some HBCUs there. Well, you have Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach. You have Florida A&M in Tallahassee. You have Edward Waters University, which is a private Christian historically Black university in Jacksonville. And you also have Florida Memorial University, which is a private historically Black university in Miami Gardens. And it's more towards the Baptist side. So a question of mine, this is how I break these down. A question of mine is this. Well, what about these historically Black colleges and universities? Are you telling them they can't teach what they're teaching? This bill could reflect such. Okay. So this is Senate bill and House Bill 7. They're calling it the Individual Freedom Act, which is now also known as the Stop Woke Act. That alone is a problem. Now, this bill was brought on the floor in the Senate bill when it first started was Senate Bill 148 by Senators Diaz and Rodriguez. Okay. Now, it says this bill includes provisions designed to protect individual freedoms and prevent discrimination in the workplace and in public schools. It sounds, you read that and go, oh, this is okay. Better keep reading. The bill also conforms the identification of protected classes in the law prohibiting discrimination in Florida K through 20 educational systems to those identified in federal law in the Florida Civil Rights Act. So it includes colleges and universities. All right, then you break this down, and I can't get through all this. And it's already 7:53 a.m. Eastern time. So we're going to see how far we go. Now, this was a concern to me. And I read it again through 8 different lenses, or at least tried to. I'm an African-American female, so that was what resonated with me more. It says, this bill specifies that subjecting any individual as a condition of employment, membership, certification, licensing, credentialing, or passing an examination to training, instruction, or any other required activity, or subjecting any K through 20 public education student or employee to training, believe the following concepts. Then they list all these different concepts. Members of one race, person, I'm going to shorten it. I'm encouraging you. I'm encouraging you to please read this for yourself if you want to check this out. When you read this, it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. But then you have to understand the definition. So go back to their main website, and hopefully I have that. Go back to their main website, and if you see the top, it says rules. click on the rules, and then click on the terms so that you understand. And again, I want you to see this so that you understand what the rules are. You have to understand their terminology and the rules to get a better understanding of what's being said here. So it's really in a certain degree my lens, my perspective. I need to be fair here. Is that, well, they're saying we're not going to discriminate. That sounds really good. So most people who are not reading the entire piece here would say, oh, this is cool. Well, what is their terminology in discrimination in this bill? That's a key question to ask. What do they mean by we will not discriminate? All right, y'all, the bill authorizes discussion and curricula in an age-appropriate manner. However, that word jumped out at me. However, Joy says this bill is ridiculous. Trust me, it is. I'm just trying to be fair and balanced here on this broadcast, but Joy, I'm with you. It says, however jumped out at me many times throughout this bill. It says, however, the bill specifies that instruction and curricula may not be used to indoctrinate or persuade students to a particular point of view inconsistent with the principles of individual freedom or state academic standards. You're probably saying, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, it's embedded in this bill, but when you look it up in this bill, it means you have to follow the rules and the procedures of this bill. That's what it is, y'all. That's what it is. I don't have time to break this down here, y'all. I don't have time. But then it goes on to say this. This is still in the summary, by the way. The bill requires the State Board of Education to develop or adopt stories of inspiration. You're probably saying, what's the story of inspiration? Glad you asked. Michael Pelter of Rutgers penned these words. Florida students will be allowed to offer an inspirational message at graduations, pep rallies, and other school events under a bill that's been signed by Republican Governor Rick Scott. Now, this was an earlier thing that came up, which was later included in this bill under Ron DeSantis. The measure was approved on Thursday. He signed it following lengthy debate in both chambers of Florida Republican-controlled legislature. All right. The bill lets school boards adopt standards permitting students to lead public prayer at the school event, even mandatory gatherings like students' commencements. But any prayer would have to be initiated and delivered by the students with no involvement of faculty or staff. So you're reading this going, okay, that sounds good too. All right, let's keep going. Well, y'all, this bill includes what they call stories of inspiration. And this bill would deal with things that are racial barriers and to make history to inspire the next generation of achievers. So they give some examples. They don't talk about Harriet Tubman. They don't talk about Malcolm X. They don't talk about a lot of stuff. But these are the stories they expect to be a part of the curriculum, such as the Woodson Carter's K through 12 Black History and Charter curriculum. They tell the stories of Black Americans who had resilience and the tenacity, enabled them to overcome adversity and to make invaluable contributions to our country. It also teaches characters and decision-making skills. Now, Woodson Carter, which is located in Washington, D.C., it's an organization founded by a Black man. The moment that 1619 project came out, they later in February 2020 announced the 1776 project. It launched February 2020, and this is what this bill wants them to look at. So you may say, well, there's no problem. It's a Black man that founded that. They're doing great things in the community. And hear me, they are. Woodson Carter Institute, they're doing phenomenal things in lower income neighborhoods, in the communities. They have different policies, they have fellowships, they have a lot that's going on. Y'all, it's all great. I see we're not going to make time, but it's all great. It's all great things that they're doing. And I believe we need to be diverse and read and hear and learn from different people. But even the fact that this bill attaches to to the Woodson Carter, you have to ask the question, well, what other types of learning are they doing? And hear me, I want y'all to go check it out. It's woodsoncarter.org. woodsoncarter.org. All right, these are the things that they think is permissible to talk about. Booker T. Washington, who was born into a slave family in Virginia plantation. After the Civil War, however, he pursued educational opportunities and later founded the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute, now Tuskegee University in Alabama, in 1881. They want you to stop there. Like, that's an inspirational story. Here's another one. George Washington Carver was hired to teach agriculture in Tuskegee in 1896. Carver, an agricultural scientist who invented hundreds of products using peanuts, was also a freed slave. They want you to stop right there. The next, Washington also founded the National Negro Business League and advised President Theodore Roosevelt and William Howard Taft. Stop right there. They want to leave it at the inspirational story without giving the other information of how these inspirational stories came about. Y'all, I don't have time to read all of this. And to the teachers, I know you have these, and those of you who may be joining, you don't have it, let me know. You can also just go to the Florida governor website, and it is, I think I have it, maybe I don't. I'll get it to you. It's the Florida Senate 2020 summary of legislation as passed of House Bill 7. Y'all, when you're voting, and I'm going to leave with this before I go to the inspirational message. When you are voting, it is important to read these bills. Sound bites aren't getting it anymore. Sound bites are not. Even I told you I read this 8 different times because I wanted to understand it. In many cases, in every point, it said, however, and the examples like the Woodson Carter, which again is a phenomenal organization, it stops short of what happened. It stops short of the purchasing of slaves. It stops short of how the slaves came over hog-tied, and many of them died in the boat. It stops short of the beatings. It stops short of the rape and the harassment. It stops short of using the derogatory wording and labeling people. It stops short of all of that. Well, isn't that history as well? Isn't that a part of the story? Well, one of the GOP people, and I can't think of his name, and I don't want to go through all the notes to get it. I'm trying to wrap this up. One of the GOP people stood up and gave an announcement during the passage of the bill and said, here's the truth. I wasn't born then. That's hearsay. Even if you hear stories from your grandparents or great-grandparents, you don't know if they're telling the truth. That's how they're spinning this, that maybe the stories we have learned aren't true. I'm not buying it. I'm not. So y'all, we need to look at this. This bill also deals with reprimanding teachers, educators, reprimanding businesses. For example, if I'm an employee, this is in this bill, y'all. If I'm an employee and I'm going through new hire orientation training and you want to talk about discrimination, or you want to talk about how to issue a harassment, if you think that's crossing the line and it's dealing with discrimination or discrimination practices based upon this bill, the business can be held and have to pay a fine, or they could possibly be shut down. Understand the bill. And if y'all remember, the former guy was talking about stopping all those different diversity trainings in corporations. Like, for example, they don't have. You can have a DEI program in companies in Florida if they follow these rules in House Bill 7. There's a lot to unpack here. So where do I go from here? I talk about our inspirational message. And again, I want to talk about love. I'm going to continue. Jeffrey Payne says, I'm with you. I'm not buying it. Joy says, thank you for doing your research and encouraging us to do ours. I believe, because again, I read this through my lens. And then I read it those 7 other times. And I kept coming up to the same thing. It kept getting darker for me. And I wanted to be fair and balanced, because when you read some of it, it says, oh, this ain't bad, but you got to keep reading. You got to keep reading. The reason these things are so many pages, y'all, there's so many pages because they're hoping you don't read it. That's why so many people have so many different aides and assistants going through all of this. So let's talk about love. Let's talk about, you are welcome, Dr. Antoinette. Let's talk about love. And I'm looking at this time, Romans 12. I'm continuing the scripture I did yesterday. I'm looking at verses 14 through 16, where it says, bless those who persecute you. What a fitting message after my reading that. Bless and do not curse. So even in looking at all this, y'all, it's not about cursing anybody. It's about, how do I pray so that people can understand what's being done and why people are operating and responding out of fear instead of responding out of love thy neighbor as you love yourself. Ron said, this is why I listen to News in Motion. This is not on any other news. Thank you, Ron, for saying that. So again, bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. The reason I give you this scripture today, number one, I think it's fitting. And number two, at some point, we have to bring about unity. At some point, it's not about not teaching about slavery, about the hardships, about the horrific things that happen. It's not saying we're not going to teach about the Holocaust. No, let me learn all of this. Let me consume it, and then let me make my own intellectual decision. Trust me enough to look at this and say, okay, where do I go from here? How do I unpack this? And how do I move forward? I'm not going to hate you, Ron DeSantis. I'm going to figure out how to love you through all of this. I'm not going to hate you. And I'm going to say it, y'all, to the former guy, Donald Trump. I'm going to learn how to love you through this. I'm going to figure out how to pray for you. I'm not going to hate you. You fill in the blank. I'm going to figure out how to love you through this, because I'm better than this. I'm better than hating you. Because we see the dots. We see where the money is flowing. We see what's happening. Come on. The connection, and y'all, it's made up. This is my opinion. The connection of me thinking about President Obama and this campaign over the past year since the insurrection of January the 6th, and how he wants to stop the technology and online disinformation and misinformation. And all of a sudden we have Elon Musk coming out with freedom of speech. What? I'm like, there's a connection here. So here's a walk around or a wrap around of how you're going to come at us. And y'all, it does feel stifling. And I'm so appreciative to people like Davia and others who's giving this self-care content, this mental health awareness and content. That's why I've been doing these baskets lately, finding a way to dump everything that I'm consuming, because burnout is real and it can come. Y'all, it took me, 12 hours or so going through this piece alone. And the more I was reading, I cried, y'all. I was reading this going, why would you do this? Why would you not want people to understand what slavery is all about? What about human trafficking? That's slavery. That's sex slavery. Are we going to introduce that? Because this is happening. It's happening today. What about slave trading? What about the slavery of how people in certain places, hello, Apple, paying low wages on people, sending products out of the country because you can pay a lower percentage than hiring people in the country where the product is being sold all the time, 24/7. Yes, I went there and I have Apple products. All of them are Apple and I love them. But y'all, let's call a spade a spade. Let's really look at these things. Let's not shrink back or say, I can't talk about this. No, let's talk about it. And let's talk about the things that are happening. Let's talk about the constituents. Let's talk about the candidates. Let's talk about these legislations and these bills. Let's talk about the marginalized people and communities who may have their polling locations closed because they don't have poll workers. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it, y'all. We cannot just keep going about our day and say, whatever. I can't do it anymore. We're going to highlight these things here on News in Motion. We're going to talk about these things, y'all. It's not to cause conflict. It's to encourage and to educate and to build us up. That's what it's here for. I came out telling you, when you read the summary, it's like, oh, this ain't bad. That's what they want you to read. But you got to keep reading. You got to look at the howevers. You got to look at, well, wait a minute. So you're talking about training and instructional and business. You're talking about K through 20. Now you're talking about higher education. Now you want to control that. And when I was able to go, I said, I know there's some HBCUs there. 2 of them are public and 2 of them are private. What will that look like? What's going to happen? Yeah, we cannot continue to be still and be quiet. We have to come out and talk about these things. We have to. I see you, Virgie. Virgie's in Virginia. She says, good morning, Gail. Nobody does it better. Listen, y'all, I'm here to do what God's called me to do. I love it. I'm on fire with it. But we have to dig deeper, y'all. There's so much to unpack here. There's so much to unpack. Y'all, this is just Florida. I'm so inspired, believe it or not, by what I learned from Florida. I'm getting ready to dig into Texas. I'm getting ready to dig into Georgia, and we're going to talk about these things. We looked at our demographics here on News in Motion. You are all over. We are all over the United States and beyond. There are people who are tuning in the viewership. Tony Roseborough, I saw your comment yesterday. Thank you so much for that. You are the 3rd person in 3 weeks who told me I need to do that. So we're going to look into that. And if y'all are wondering what he said he's ready for me to be on Sirius XM radio. So we are now looking into that to see how we can progress with that as well. Y'all, things are happening. But let me tell you this. I would prefer to have, I think we have an average this morning on the actual Facebook and then YouTube. I think we have, is it right, Isaiah, 30 something? Come on in, Isaiah. Come on in. Bring yourself in. He's like, what? What did you say, Isaiah? How many live views?
Today it was the highest was 34.
34. Now that's just on Facebook. That's not including the audio. That's not LinkedIn. That's on Facebook. And I think we have 4 or 5 in here from YouTube. Y'all, if that's all we have, if that's the education that we're bringing, and those of you are taking this education to other people, that's how you reproduce. That's how you continue this information forward. Now, when we look at the audio side, those are thousands. And when those numbers come in each month, that's where we get that reach that we see. And we're just grateful. But our goal here is to strive to give you factual information. Y'all, news is defined as noteworthy information. That's what it is. So we're here to give you all that we're able to give you, and we're going to keep digging. We're going to continue to have segments like this. To all of our high school students, thank you. I can't wait to hear from you because y'all be sending me some serious emails. Some of them were upset, like, why can't we chat during the day? Because your teacher turns off the chat link, and I have no control of that. And those teachers who joined us later, who let me know, and I see that some of you came in on the private messaging, we will send you those 2 bills. And again, you can Google it, but I'm gonna send them to you because I have them already. You can Google that. And for those of you who are not teachers and you're saying, how do I find this information? We will put the information in the chat. Let's see. Lori Wallace says, absolutely see the labor trafficking is still prevalent. Yes. Kim Edmondson says, talk about it. Cherie says, I would love for you and Sean to discuss this bill on my show. We'll see. Latrice says, love is what it does. Gail does news like nobody else. I actually love what I do, y'all. Stephanie, what's up, girlfriend? Says, where 2 or 3 are gathered. Latrice said, everyone share this video today and tag some friends when you share. Thank you so much for that. And hear me, y'all. I don't always get it right. Again, just like when we read the Bible, we have our own interpretation. So if it's wrong, it's wrong. If I said something that you might, I don't think I see the same thing you see, let's have a conversation. I like what Latrice said about having a book club and doing some more things. Y'all, there's so much that can be done here. There's so much that can be done here. But it's time to go. So until tomorrow, I'm Gail Dudley. This has been your News in Motion. I'm out.